Greetings, Christites. Today we have Professor Joel M. Jacob. Professor Joel is a master of all trades. He is a vibrant speaker as well as an immaculate writer. Currently, he teaches at the Department of Media Studies, whilst wrapping up his doctorate degree emphasizing on the creator economy. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, to kickstart the discussion, how did you begin your journey with writing?
Okay, so my journey with writing started in my childhood itself. So I, in my initial years, I went to an international school which focused on a lot of writing and speaking skills, and especially when it comes to writing, they would focus on spellings, right? So I had to take part in spelling bees and other things. So my mother used to spend a lot of time with me in ensuring that my spellings were right. I would do a lot of dictations in at home and all that, and I used to do well. So that doing well gave me an encouragement that I can write, I can do well. I loved English, so and then going up the grades, my English teachers actually gave me a lot of encouragement. Whether it's essay writing, and I started doing a lot of reading. I have two elder sisters, so both of them used to read a lot, and I used to borrow some of the books that they used to read. They used to take me to the library. I would read all the comics and all the Enid Blyton to all the other children's books, and that gave me an insight into storytelling. And I used to attempt writing stories on my own. That way, I used to try attempt writing stories even in English classes, and my teachers used to encourage me a lot. So I started doing that. Higher grades, I started experimenting with poetry because I like this idea of rhythm and rhyming and all of that. But I wasn't great at it, but I used to use stories in poetry itself. So I experimented with that, and then eventually, for my college, I decided to do journalism. And so journalism is where they emphasize a lot on writing, and all media skills, all media platforms need some level of writing. Like, you need a script. If you're doing a journalistic story, you need to write and cover a good story, take notes. Even if you're doing a video, you need a script. So that gave me an insight that good writing is the base of all media. So that's been my journey. My editors in my workplace really helped me a lot and helped me understand the importance of writing and storytelling and engaging audiences through words. So yeah, that's been my journey. And now as a teacher also, we do a lot of writing. So we have to do reports, we have to work on PowerPoints, we have to work on individual documents and stories, and preparing for classes, writing research papers, so on and so forth. So we need writing is an essential part of that. So the journey continues.
Right, so that is actually very fascinating. And even, how did you build on your writing skills and, like the writing that's required for academic writing and that's needed for journalistic writing? So, how do you mold your writing styles based on that?
Okay. So what's important is to never stop learning, right? So you're never a perfect writer. So something my professor in college taught me was you're only as good as your previous work. So then the next work should be much better than what you did earlier. So you have to constantly keep reinventing yourself, finding new ways to engage your readers through your words. You have to read lots of good pieces, read different kinds of books, and see if you could employ some of those techniques. I attend workshops whenever I can to try and see what are some new things that are out there, which I could explore. And there are some rules that they give you, but sometimes you need to break the rules. So that also brings some level of creativity. And so writing, I would say there are certain forms and techniques which people have studied over time which work, but at the same time you can try and explore newer ways, and that kind of helps. And so academic writing, I've just started because I'm doing my PhD. I need to learn how academic writing is. I've done a little bit in college, but there's a different style to it. It's a little more formal. The kind of words that you use, it's more active voice and all of that. So that again brings in some level of attention to detail, right? And there are also books and works that talk about how academic writing can be storytelling as well. So which is an interesting area, and I'm trying to explore that as well.
Right, sir. And in your case, like you have also elaborated on how writing is such an important skill for
Right.
one to possess. But how can one leverage writing as, a means for self expression as well?
Okay, very good question. So writing is as you said, a great way to express yourself. It's also to the ability to put your thoughts into words. I think that is the biggest challenge that we have, because our mind is so complex, right? We
Yeah.
have so many ideas and thoughts going in. So if you are able to put those ideas into words, I think that is really powerful, right? So writing that way is a very powerful activity. And we are in the information age now, going into a different age, but information is still power. And so if you have information and you're able to share it through the written word, yes, obviously spoken word is also important, but if you're able to put it in words, that is going to stay for ages to come. People are going to read, and there is something about the visual word, there's something about reading that helps your brain. So expressing yourself, bringing, it's like therapy also sometimes. Like you can emotionally just let yourself out, and let the world know what you're thinking. And what the world needs more is discussion. So we can solve a lot of problems through discussion, and one way of discussion is through putting your pieces out there. That's why the best public speakers are also those who write, right? Say you have someone like Shashi Tharoor, he is also actively writing all the time. So there is both happen side by side. So that way you need to be able to be able to express yourself in the written word is really powerful, and share whatever thoughts you have. I think that's a very powerful activity, yeah, and a skill to have.
Absolutely, sir. And now we find ourselves in the information age as well, as you mentioned, and we see the proliferation of a tool like Chat GPT.
Right.
So, do you think it's really going to change the way writing is perceived and like a lot of other areas as well?
Yeah, Chat GPT is something that even as teachers we have been trying to discuss how we are going to navigate it in the academic space. But Chat GPT definitely can give you a good essay. People have explored that. But I think still the human mind has more emotion in the way it can express, and more creativity, I feel. So that way, I don't think it will completely take away the human form of writing. So we the softwares and AI may be able to come out with a good essay if you ask it, but there is still the aspect of emotion. AI may come up with emotion already. I think there was an article in New York Times where a journalist was interviewing ChatGPT, and and the AI fell in love with the journalist, and was it got very complex and all that. So I mean, I don't know what that is going to create, but in terms of writing, I think still as human beings we can add a bit of emotion and relatability to the audience. I think that will not die, and if we start depending so much on softwares and on tech to create content, then I think we will lose creativity. We'll lose that humanness. We'll lose that sense of bringing emotions alive and touching lives, sort of a thing. It's just you want content, it'll give you content. That's all. But as of now, I think it's not going to have the humanness.
Right, sir. And as budding journalists, we'd hope it doesn't take over all our jobs as well. And even when we talk about humans now, the importance of soft skills, that's another interest area for you. So, how important is it for students or any budding journalist to build on those soft skills as well? Because we see the world focusing so much on hard skills. So, what are
Right.
your thoughts on that?
Okay, very important. Soft skills are equally important in the workplace, and along with your technical or your hard skills, as you call them. So, I would like to put it this way: you can focus, you can talk about your hard skills, but when that is coming out in the form of a product or in the form of a service, you can connect that with a soft skill. Say you're good at filmmaking, you're good at documentaries. Nobody does a documentary by themselves. There are some exceptions, but usually it's done as a team, right? So when it's done as a team, it shows that you have teamwork abilities, right? You have to do some level of research to be able to do that. So it shows that you have research skills. It shows that you are able to ask questions. You're able, so interpersonal skills that way. The ability to gauge information, sticking to deadlines. Time management is very important in the workplace. Leadership. So if you have initiated a project or you're managing an event, you'll say, yeah, event management is a hard skill, but at the same time you're able to lead a team. So that's leadership, and you're able to speak well. That also shows that you can communicate ideas effectively. So I would say try and relate both together. So that way your hard skills and your soft skills will go hand in hand. And soft skills are definitely important because you need to learn how to adapt to the workplace. People may keep you for your skills, but if you're not a great person in terms of the way you behave, your attitude isn't great, I don't know how well you might survive. You may not survive for very long. They may keep you for a while, but still you're not going to make a lot of friends. So I would say companies would usually look at both, a good balance of both.
And so yours is a profession where soft skills obviously come very handy. Now you're a professor as well. So how would you describe your teaching career so far, and what has teaching taught you as well?
What has teaching taught me? Teaching is very hard. So the what drew me into teaching was the ability to make learning happen. Right. So teaching is not anymore a profession where the professor comes with all the knowledge and then just shares it with everybody. Teaching is now facilitation. Can I create learning in the classroom, especially at an adult level where all of you are adults in the class? You have your own experiences, you have your own readings, you have your own way of that you've seen the world. So can I bring those experiences together so that we can learn together? So I am just there to create a environment where we can all learn together. So I'm not there with it as an expert or I know everything. I should definitely have an idea of everything, but it's not necessarily that I'm an expert in everything. So I'm just creating a platform where all of you can discuss and share your ideas and we can learn together. Right? And there's something new that can come out of that. So I need to be constantly learning. So teacher needs to constantly learn. And yeah, you have to learn different ways to manage classes and ensure learning happens. You have to learn different techniques, you have to prepare, so that involves a lot of preparation. So a good teacher is one who prepares well. I mean, you can be as charming as you want, but that may not work for all classes. So you will need to have different skills. So a teacher is not just teaching. You have to be a mentor. You have to be understanding. You need to be a coach. You need to be a hard taskmaster. Sometimes you have to challenge your students. You sometimes have to be a counselor. You sometimes have to be a friend. You have sometimes have to push students to find their potential. So there are many roles that you play, and you're also evaluator, assessor. So and teachers hate grading and evaluation. This is the any teacher you ask, they will tell you they hate correcting assignments because it's so much decision making, right? So you have to ask and you have to see why this person is better than that person, but you learn a lot, right? When especially when students are able to express themselves in a media course, they're producing ideas, they're putting out content which you may never have thought of, and there's so much creativity, right? Sometimes when students do events and other things, I'm so surprised with the kind of creative ideas that they come up with. There's so many constraints. You'll have budget constraints, you'll have institutional constraints, you'll have, sometimes, the teacher in charge may not be okay with certain ideas, but you still work around it and find something new and creative. So that itself is exciting to see how your brain works despite all these different constraints. So I think that is a great way to, look at teaching and facilitation.
Right, sir. And as we, draw closer to the conclusion of our discussion, how do you think, budding journalists and writers can, keep this creativity component still alive in their way of expression?
So ideas have an open mind, right? Never close it. Never think that you have learned it all. So that comes from a place of humility. So you have to continuously say that I still haven't got it yet. I'm still working on it. Yes, I'm good. People are. You need some level of validation, but at the same time, I still have lots to learn. So keep updating yourself. Keep reading new things, meeting new people, meeting some experts in the field. Learn some tips from that. See if you can add certain things. Explore things. You might fail sometimes, but still you're learning from that, right? So what you need is an open mind to be able to create and update yourself.
Right, sir. And that does bring us to the end of our discussion. Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank you.
taking time off your busy schedule to have this very insightful discussion with us. If any of our audience wants to reach out to sir, please do connect with him on email at joelm.jacob@christuniversity.in. That's all for now. Thank
Thank
you.
you.